In those days, and even today in some parts of the world, mosques are used as guest houses. Being a place of worship, mosques are kept very clean, even shoes are not permitted inside. But this man, out of ignorance, started urinating in the courtyard of the mosque. The Holy Prophet and his companions were present in the mosque at that time. Some of the companions rushed towards him to punish him for this offense, but were immediately stopped by the Holy Prophet. They were told not to disturb him during the act. When he had finished, the Holy Prophet asked for a bucket of water, and he himself washed that place. Then he returned to his companions and said, "You were not raised by God to cause difficulties for people. Always remember that you were raised to bring relief to mankind." Once a delegation of Christian leaders from Najran came to Medina for debating issues of difference between Islam and Christianity. They stayed there for 3 days. While engaged in a dialogue in the Holy Prophet's mosque, the time for their prayers arrived. They asked permission from the Holy Prophet to go out to offer their prayers. The Holy Prophet, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said that the mosque was also a place of worship, and they were welcome to pray there, and they did. In the meantime, some companions reached the mosque and saw the Christians worshipping, facing the opposite direction from the Qibla in that mosque. They moved forward to object to this, but he firmly prohibited them from interfering and said, "I have permitted them because this is the house of God, and no man has the right to object to anyone who worships God in a place devoted for the sake of worship." On another occasion, a delegation from the monastery of St. Catherine begged him to write a pronouncement to the effect that their monastery should be protected when Islam would become victorious in that part of the world. The Holy Prophet immediately accepted the request and wrote orders to that effect. To my knowledge, the parchment on which this order was written is still preserved in Turkey. It reads, "No one should ever interfere with the property of the monastery, nor with the figure of the cross or any other article which represents their faith. They should not be molested in any manner whatsoever. Anyone ignoring this will not be one of us." So much is said about the prevailing hatred between Muslims and Jews, but it was just one-sided during the time of the Holy Prophet. Although the Jewish clans in and around Medina vehemently opposed Prophet Muhammad, his conduct to them always remained just and humane. Once, when he was sitting with his companions, a funeral procession passed nearby and he stood up in respect. Someone pointed out that the corpse belonged to a Jew. He replied, "Was this person not given life by God? Was he not a creation of God? Remember, in things which are common to man, we must show respect, irrespective of one's religion, race, or creed. This is the essence of Islam. It was not only taught by word of mouth, but was also practiced in every detail." He was a man of love, a love of beauty mingled with humility. He loved children, even respected them. After the demise of the Holy Prophet, one of his companions passed through a group of children and said, "Assalamu alaikum," peace be on you. They were young and were surprised that a highly respected elderly person, a companion of the Holy Founder, was greeting them by saying, "Peace be on you." When he found the children so surprised, he told them, "I always observed the Holy Founder doing this. It was his habit to take the lead in saying Assalamu alaikum even to children." Osama bin Zayd narrates that while he was a child, he was picked up by the Holy Prophet and put on one of his knees. Then the Holy Prophet put his grandson Hassan on his other knee, and embracing them both, prayed to God, "O my Lord, show mercy to them as I am showing mercy to them." This incident left an indelible mark on Osama bin Zayd, who reported it with tears in his eyes. The Holy Founder of Islam had a very pleasant sense of humor. He used to joke with children to amuse them with light talk. However, his humor would never hurt anyone. There are many reports of his jokes with children and sometimes with old people. Anas reports, "The Holy Prophet used to become very friendly with children. Once my younger brother's sparrow called Nugar died. The Holy Prophet cheered him up by saying, 'O Abu Omer, what has little Nugar,' calling it as Nugair, 'done to you?' Whenever he met him, he said the same thing until Abu Omer forgot his Nugar and started enjoying being addressed by the Holy Prophet thus." Once Hassan, the grandson of the Holy Prophet, wanted to ride a camel. he seated him on his shoulders and posed to be his camel. This made Hazrat Hassan smile with pleasure. All such small jokes are not reported, but this much is certainly reported, that he always had similar pleasing talks with small children. Once an old woman inquired from him whether she would also be granted permission to enter paradise. In answer, the Holy Prophet said that no old person would ever enter paradise. She was deeply taken aback at that and expressed her grief. The Holy Prophet smilingly put her at ease by observing, "All those who enter the paradise would have been turned young." Chapter 4. The Prophet's View on Justice. The Holy Prophet was a man of strict and absolute justice. However, his justice was complemented with a balancing sense of perfect kindness. In the Battle of Badr, one of his uncles, Abbas, while fighting on the side of the idolaters, was arrested by the Muslims. Like other prisoners, his hands and feet were also bound against a pillar in the mosque, but rather too tight. The Holy Prophet, whose home was adjacent to the mosque, could not sleep at night, distressed at hearing his sobs and cries. When this was reported to his companions present in the mosque, they loosened Abbas's ties. After a while, when the Holy Prophet couldn't hear any moaning, he became worried and inquired as to why the sounds had stopped. Somebody said that the ties of Abbas had been relaxed. He said, "If you have done this to Abbas, do the same to every prisoner." This having been done, he could at least rest in peace. This is how he showed his kindness without compromising justice. Once a daughter of a prominent Arab chieftain was caught stealing. Her name was Fatima, the same as that of the Holy Prophet's daughter. This matter was being disputed outside the house of the Holy Prophet, and some people were asking for mercy as she was the daughter of a powerful chief. They persuaded Osama, the son of a liberated slave of the Holy Prophet, whom the Holy Prophet loved so much, to intercede on her behalf. He proceeded to do so, but this annoyed the Holy Prophet so much that the vein on his forehead darkened, and he said, "What do you mean by this intercession? I would most certainly have done what Allah wants me to do, even if my daughter Fatima had committed this crime." The Holy Prophet once owed money to a Jew. The Jew thought it was overdue, whereas it was not so. He confronted the Holy Prophet and demanded his money, using very harsh words, and accused that all Quraysh were bad debtors who never honored their promises. He had not only insulted the Holy Prophet, but also his tribe. Umar, who was also there, became extremely annoyed and his hand went for his sword. The Holy Prophet stopped Umar, who had now used some abusive words against the Jew and was perhaps about to strike him, and said, "Umar, you should have behaved differently. First, you should have told me to be mindful of the contract and pay in time. Then you should have told him to be kind in his demands and merciful to his debtors." Then he turned to another of his companions and said, "Still, there are 3 days. I know the limit is not yet over, but pay him whatever I owe and add some more because of the harsh attitude of Umar." This was his behavior when openly insulted in the company of his companions. His sense of justice was supreme. It was absolute, not in any way connected to his personal, tribal, or religious loyalties. Today, the Jewish-Muslim relationship is a much misunderstood concept and needs to be corrected. I will quote some examples from the Holy Prophet's relationship with Jews because we must follow his conduct in this regard. Any contradictory attitude has to be dismissed.